In this interview, I speak with Tyler. He's 27 years old, living in New York City, and he shares what it's like working as a Compost Program Operations Manager. Let's get started. Thank you, Tyler, so much for joining me today. I'm very excited to hear about your career as a Compost Program Operations Manager. So please tell me about yourself.
I live in New York City. I live in Brooklyn. I went to a state university, Binghamton University, for about 4 years. Then I got my master's. I got my master's in public administration, and also a second master's in sustainable communities at the time. And now I work as the Compost Program Operations Manager for an environmental nonprofit in New York City called GrowNYC.
Awesome. So it sounds like you had an interest in the environment and potentially saving it from a young age. Can you tell me a little bit about how that interest and passion came about?
Yeah, absolutely. So, kind of starting in high school, I had this really kind of do good mentality, and I was really looking for an outlet for it. Sometime, later in my high school career, we had a sustainability club at school, and I just started to get really passionate about the different issues that were impacting the environment, things like that. I really couldn't put a lot of ideas in words to this passion until I started my education, my undergraduate education, and I started really taking classes with a lot of different folks that were interested in environmental issues and environmental activism. So the really good benefit of going to university is really, especially in the realm of sustainability and environmentalism, is you just get so many different perspectives on it. So I've really formulated a lot of my mindsets from different folks that were more on the activism side, more on the policy side, more on the ecology, biology side, more on the geology side. So really kind of built that all into one, and then that really informed the next few years of my life.
That's awesome. So was it in your undergrad or your graduate studies where you started to kind of get a feel for how you wanted to approach your career? Because to me, like not knowing much about sustainability in terms of coursework and things like that, I would have no idea like if there are set careers people tend to go into or if it's just evolving so much as people become more passionate about the environment.
Yeah. It's really there's really a lot of disciplines in it, and I think really early on, I got a taste of the wide variety. There's more of a like I kind of said before, there's more of like a science side of it. There's more of a policy side of it. I think that I was really looking for what career that I could make out of this. And it was in undergraduate education that I had a professor in particular that put us all on the idea of sustainable development and how sustainability can be a job and a career, and really taking cities and different communities and really building them into sustainable, environmentally friendly units while still considering human development and human activity was really what I started to become interested in. Not all folks feel the same way. There's some that are more, we need to return and be more focused on environmental quality and plant and animal life. But this professor in particular really kind of pointed out that, at least for me, that there's always going to be humans and there's always going to be human society, and there's always going to be environment and plant and animal life, and how those things are not separate. Those are overlapping, and they intertwine in a lot of different ways, and how we can best coexist and really develop those relationships. So that's really an undergrad where I really developed more of those mindsets.
So leading into your current career as a compost program operations manager, can you talk to me a little bit about what attracted you, sorry, to that specific role and what a week in your life looks like?
Yeah, absolutely. So I finished my master's, and my master's were really focused on public governance and nonprofit management, and really focused on sustainable development and more in a community setting or an urban setting. So I was really looking for something where I could promote sustainability while also working in a public serving setting. I stumbled upon the compost program at GrowNYC when I first got down here. It's basically a huge operation in which we have around 50 to 52, I think 52 now, sites around New York City. And by sites, I mean we have a tent, we have a table, we have a setup, and we have large bins, and they might look like garbage bins, but we collect food scraps in them. So they're around the city in all 5 boroughs, and community members come out. They put their food scraps in them, and then we have staff members staffing those sites, and they interact with the community. They help collect the different food scraps, and then they educate folks on what they can and can't bring, and talk to them a little bit more about what our processes look like. We take those food scraps to different processing sites around New York City, and we turn them into either compost, soil, or for some of our facilities, they turn them into heat and energy.
Oh, wow.
So a typical week in my life really looks like working with staff members to make sure they have all the different supplies that they need, working with my different drivers that drive around the city to make sure they have everything they need to be successful, making sure we're looking out for different logistics issues, right? So holiday comes up and a processing site isn't operating, or a big marathon is occurring and streets are closed down, but we still need to maneuver around the city, just kind of triaging those issues and coming up with solutions, but also trying new things, and coming up with ways to better our operation and be more efficient and more environmentally friendly, and things like that. It's really, what I'm focused on. So yeah,
That's awesome. That's very cool. And that can't be easy in a city the size of New York. So kudos to you. So you mentioned an educational component to telling the community what they can and cannot bring. Is that largely done digitally first? Is that how you kind of find and attract people to participate in your program? Or is it the fact that your team is out on the streets and people are walking by, things like that?
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. So there are some educational programs that are run in our organization, and outside of that, kind of teach individuals in the community what they can and can't compost and things like that. Um, not all sites collect the same things, right? So for example, some collect meat and dairy because their processing sites can process stuff like that. Ours do not. So for the things like that, we're really focused on the ground education of community members. Um, there are different courses that community members can take, and they do take, that teach them. But it also like really depends on the community. Some have been kind of doing it their whole lives, because that's something that their families have been doing, or that's something that is a common cultural practice for them. And then there are some that had never heard of it before, have no idea what we're doing, and so it really depends. But we're kind of open to all different people at any level, and we're there to meet them where they're at, and help fill in the gaps to explain what we do.
That's amazing. Do you partner at all with any other organizations? I'm sure other programs, perhaps similar, exist. I'm just not sure how much overlap might occur, or
Yeah,
if people sponsor your team at all, things like that.
yeah, absolutely. So our entire program is funded by the New York City Department of Sanitation.
Oh,
And then we do partner with quite a few other community composting organizations. One is Bigger Use, another is Earth Matter. And we really work with them and the Department of Sanitation to help coordinate and collect and process the food scraps that we're collecting from the community.
that's awesome. I guess not to throw you for a loop too much, do you have any idea what other careers that people in your cohort when you were studying your master's ended up going into, just to show a little variety of what kind of roles people might branch out to from something that you did?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So, the thing about at least public administration is that there's just such a wide variety of things you can go into. I have friends who ended up working for state government, some that worked for universities. State government job might be something in the realm of um, policy making, or it might be in the realm of working to collect feedback on like energy policy from the state. Others are working in labor relations, and others, even decided to go into completely different careers. So it's really dependent on the people. In terms of sustainable communities, a lot of folks try to stay within that. There are some that became city planners, some that worked for local sustainability organizations upstate in upstate New York,
Mhm.
and then others that went into AmeriCorps. So just a wide variety. The good thing about it is that it really provides you with both programs really provide you with a lot of the mindsets that you can really apply to different careers that are really helpful around serving individuals and promoting certain sustainable values and things like that.
Awesome. So specifically focusing on sustainability, do you have any advice for maybe high school or even college students who are interested in exploring that career trajectory?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say don't let anyone limit you and what that looks like. It is so vast. Fine if you're looking for like a undergraduate education, something similar to that. Look for one that is varied. It has a lot of different aspects to it and allows you to kind of explore the different aspects of it, whether that's biology or geology or law or any different kind of discipline. Find a program that really varies that, and then also talk to people in those careers. I know that it's kind of a cliche thing to say, but it's so true, because they can really guide you in what skills that you need to pick up over time that really help them. There's no point in reinventing the wheel. Some people have already been through the path that you're going through or you're going into, and can really point out things that could help them along the way.
Awesome. Well, Tyler, thank you so much for taking the time today. I know us connecting has been a long time coming, so I really appreciate it. And I wish you the best.
Wish you the best. Thank you so much.